Night had settled over Omunze when Peace returned to her rented cottage by the lake. The wind pressed softly against the windows, and the reflection of the moon broke in the ripples of the water like a silver eye that never closed. Her notebook lay open on the desk. Ink stains bloomed across the page where her hand had trembled earlier, and the last words she had written, "They are waiting," seemed almost to pulse in the dim candlelight. She tried to write again, but found herself sketching instead. Two figures entwined, a circle of roses, a woman veiled in black, the same shapes over and over. When she finally rose to wash her hands, she caught sight of herself in the mirror above the basin. For an instant, her reflection was not her own. The woman staring back wore a gown of deep silver, her dark hair braided with ash roses. Her eyes held centuries, and on her left hand gleamed a ring of black iron etched with thorns. Peace gasped and stumbled back. The reflection rippled and returned to her own face, pale, frightened, human. Her pulse hammered. It's a trick of the light. But even as she said it, the faint scent of roses filled the air again. The next morning, mist blanketed the hills. Peace returned to the chapel, driven by something she could not name. She told herself it was research. She told herself she was chasing history, not ghosts. Yet, each step she took felt like memory rather than movement. The statues of James and Joy stood as before, yet the roses at their feet had multiplied overnight. Dew glittered on the petals, though no sun had reached them. Peace touched the marble again. "Who were you?" she whispered, "when you weren't stone?" This time, the echo that answered was her own voice, but older, sadder. "We were promise and rain. We were what love becomes when it cannot die." The words filled her mind like a dream half remembered. She pressed a hand to her chest. Her heartbeat stumbled, then steadied to a rhythm that felt too slow. Suddenly, she knew things snatches of images that weren't hers. A man's laughter under candlelight, a woman's cry in the storm, blood on an altar. James, Joy, Seraphim. The names slid together like overlapping reflections, and somewhere in their weave, a whisper formed. "Your blood remembers." "Peace." She staggered back. "No, I can't be." The chapel trembled, dust falling from the rafters. The air turned colder. Mirrors she hadn't noticed before old, cracked ones set into the walls, began to cloud over with a silvery mist. In their depths, shapes stared. James' face appeared first, calm and sorrowful. Then Joy beside him, her eyes full of light. "You've come," Joy's voice said, distant but clear. At last, Peace's throat tightened. "Why me?" "Because the vow still breathes through your line," said James. "And only one who bears both names can wake us." I'm no one," she whispered. The mirror shimmered. Behind James and Joy, another shape moved Seraphine's shadow, long and graceful, her veil rippling like smoke. "No one?" the witch's voice murmured. "Oh my dear, you are the echo I left in the world. You are proof that curses can love what they destroy." The glass cracked outward from the center, but no shards fell. Instead, light spilled through the fractures, soft, gold, and weeping. Peace fell to her knees. The light poured over her, seeping into her skin like warmth after frost. Visions flooded her mind. The wedding, the vow, the storm, the stone. And beneath it all, the whisper of a promise that had waited 3 centuries to be heard. End it, Joy said gently, or continue it. The choice is yours. Peace raised her head. The mirror's glow dimmed, leaving only her reflection, but now her eyes held a faint glimmer of blue, the same color as the marble that encased the lovers. She understood then. She carried all 3 within her, the lover, the beloved, and the one who caused them. The vow had come full circle. Outside, dawn broke over James again, pale and trembling. The chapel bell, silent for generations, began to toll. Peace stepped into the morning light. Each note of the bell sounded not like morning, but awakening. The mist lifted, revealing the lake bright and alive, and deep within the chapel, behind the mirrors, a faint heartbeat answered. Rain drifted across the lake like silk drawn over glass. Peace stood on the chapel steps, the air around her humming with a pulse that no longer belonged to wind or thunder. She felt the beat of it in her bones, old and patient, 3 centuries of waiting finding its breath through her heart. Behind her, the chapel doors hung open. The statues of James and Joy gleamed faintly blue, the color of dawn before sunrise. For the first time since she had found them, they seemed lighter, as if stone were only a thin disguise over something listening. Peace stepped inside. Her footsteps echoed, not hollow but musical, each one answered by a faint chime. The mirrors along the walls had cleared. The ghostly figures within them now stood silently, their faces expectant. Seraphine's reflection hovered at the center, veil lowered, eyes calm. So, the witch said softly, "The blood remembers." Peace faced her. "I didn't ask for this." "Neither did I," Seraphine replied. "I only asked to be loved." The air quivered between them. Through the broken roof, the rain ceased. Light fell in thin, golden threads. Peace approached the altar, where an ancient book lay open to the same page that had once held Seraphine's blood. The script shimmered faintly, words rearranging themselves as if rewriting the vow. When love is broken, time will bind it. When love endures, time will free it. She traced the line with one trembling finger. The ring she had found in the ruins, James's ring, slid from her pocket and rested on the page. Its dark iron glowed red, then silver, then clear as glass. Seraphine's voice drifted closer. "To end a curse, you must finish it. Promise as I once promised. But know what you gave." Peace looked at the statues. They seemed to breathe. The world narrowed to their faces, their almost kiss. "If I free them," she whispered, "will you finally rest?" The witch's expression softened. "I will remember." Rest and memory are the same thing to one who loved too long. Peace took a breath, then let it end in remembrance. She placed her palm against the ring and pressed it to her heart. "By the blood that remains, by the vow that endures, let love wake without chains. Let what was stone be heart again." Light rose from the altar, not a flash, but a steady, unfolding brightness, like dawn spreading through water. The mirrors shattered soundlessly. The shards dissolved into motes of gold that spiraled upward and vanished. The witch's form flickered, her veil lifting in a slow, graceful arc. "Well done," Seraphine murmured, her voice thinned, fading into a sigh that carried both sorrow and peace. The glow swept across the chapel. Marble softened to flesh. James's hand tightened around Joy's. Color returned to their cheeks, breath to their lips. They turned toward Peace, wonder dawning in their eyes. Joy reached out, touching Peace's face. You have our thanks, daughter of both names, and our warning, James added gently. Every vow leaves an echo. Be kind to yours. Then, together, they stepped into the light and were gone, neither vanishing nor dying, but becoming part of the brightness itself, a warmth that lingered like sunlight after rain. When silence returned, the chapel was whole again. No cracks, no ash, only rows of white roses blooming where the statues had stood. Peace knelt among them, the ring now clear crystal in her palm. She felt neither loss nor triumph, only a strange serenity, as though the heartbeat of Umunze had settled into rhythm with her own. Outside, villagers who had long avoided the rings looked up to see the chapel's bell swing for the first time in generations. Its tone was neither sorrow nor joy. It was both. The sound of an ending that was also a beginning. Peace left the estate at sunrise. Behind her, the lake reflected the chapel in perfect stillness, and for a moment, two silhouettes shimmered in the reflection, a man and a woman, hands entwined, smiling through the light. As she turned away, she thought she heard Seraphine's whisper, soft as falling petals. Forever, as promised. And thus the tale of Umunze, closed as all true vows, must not broken, not kept, but remembered. 120 years passed before anyone spoke the Umunze again. The estate had long since vanished into the folds of forest and myth, its stones scattered, its lake turned mirror smooth beneath the moss. On an early spring morning, a young woman stepped off the narrow path that wound toward what the locals still call the sleeping chapel. She carried a satchel of books, a small brass compass, and a folded letter yellowed by age. Her name was Evelyn Vance. The letter had been found inside a university archive in a chest mislabeled Folklore Unverified Accounts. Inside it, beneath sketches of ruined walls and fragments of pressed roses, was a single page written in a hand that trembled with both certainty and awe. If you find this, the vow has ended. But listen for the echoes, for they are the proof of love's endurance. L.V. Evelyn had read it a dozen times before daring to follow its trail. She didn't know what had drawn her here: curiosity, perhaps, or the way her dreams had lately filled with soft bells and the scent of rain. The forest opened around her like a breath held too long. Between the trees, a faint shimmer marked the outline of the old chapel's archway. She stepped through, brushing aside vines that had grown as delicately as lace. Inside, the air was warm, sweet with roses. No ruins, remained only the faint shape of an altar beneath a veil of sunlight. She placed her hand on the stone. It felt alive, faintly pulsing, as though beneath it flowed a slow, patient heartbeat. Something caught her eye, half buried near the steps, glinting faintly beneath the moss. She brushed away the soil. It was a ring, clear crystal, set in a band of silver. Evelyn turned it over in her palm. A drop of light glowed at its center, dim, then bright. The chapel's bell, long gone, according to every record, tolled once, low and resonant. The sound made her smile. "Hello," she whispered, though she wasn't sure to whom. A soft breeze stirred the air. In it came the scent of roses and a voice distant, familiar, and kind. "Welcome home." Eveline looked toward the altar. For an instant, she thought she saw two figures there, hand in hand, luminous in the morning light. Behind them, a third shadow lingered tall, veiled, watching with something like peace. Then the light shifted, and the chapel was empty again. She slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Outside, the forest hummed with birdsong. The lake caught the sky in its calm surface, and for just a heartbeat, three reflections shimmered where one should have been. Eveline lingered there until the sun rose high. She wrote in her journal, as her ancestor had once done, "James endures. The vow is not a curse, but memory itself." And when she closed the book, she could have sworn the bell sounded again softly, joyfully, as though time itself had smiled.